Welcome back to The Explainer. So, you're looking to maximize your property's potential. Maybe create a dedicated space for family, or just add some serious value to your lot. Well, you're absolutely in the right place. Today, we are breaking down a massive, and I mean massive, decision that homeowners face when expanding their living space, choosing between prefabricated and custom-built granny flats. We're going to bypass all the glossy marketing brochures and dig right into the source material. We'll be looking purely at the data, the real timelines, and yep, those sneaky hidden costs to analyze the true financial and logistical differences between these two completely distinct construction methods.
Okay, let's just dive right in and tackle the most common assumption head on. Are prefab granny flats actually the cheapest way to build? Look, it is incredibly tempting to see a low base price sticker on a modular home and just assume, yep, that's the most economical route for my backyard. But as our source material reveals, construction is rarely ever that simple. Taking that base price at face value often gives an incomplete and honestly sometimes totally misleading picture of your final out-of-pocket expenses. But first, to make sure we're all on exactly the same page, what actually is a prefab? According to the text, a prefabricated granny flat is a modular ancillary dwelling constructed completely off-site in a factory. To make them easy to transport, they're built using lightweight materials, usually lightweight steel or structural insulated panels, which are known as SIPs. But here is the absolute crucial point for our logistical analysis. To successfully deliver and install one of these factory-built units, you absolutely must have level ground and clear, unobstructed street access for heavy machinery. Just keep that in the back of your mind as we go.
All right, prefab versus custom built, a head-to-head comparison.
The immediate appeal of a prefab modular build? Well, it's pretty obvious. You're looking at a wildly fast build time, clocking in at just 12 to 16 weeks. Contrast that with the 24 to 36 weeks required for a custom on-site build, and the average cost looks highly attractive up front too, starting around $100K up to $180K, while custom builds stretch from $150K all the way up to $300K. But looking a little deeper into the data, the trade-offs start to pop up. Remember that access issue? Prefab modulars require serious crane clearance, whereas custom just needs standard access for your everyday tradespeople. Design flexibility with prefab is pretty much locked to whatever factory templates they have, while a custom build is fully bespoke. And a really important note from the source analysis, the long-term resale value for a prefab is generally considered moderate, whereas a custom build holds a high value retention.
Which brings us to the hidden reality, uncovering the crane factor. Here's the kicker. According to the analysis in our source material, focusing purely on that attractive base price completely ignores a massive hidden logistical cost. They call it the crane factor, and it can easily slap an extra $5,000 to $15,000 onto your final bill. I mean, that is a significant chunk of change. It's easily enough to completely wipe out the perceived initial savings of choosing the prefab route in the first place. So why exactly does this hefty fee exist? Think about it. To physically drop a fully constructed modular house into a backyard, you need a massive level 2 crane to safely swing it over your property boundaries. The text clarifies that if your site has overhead power lines, council-protected trees, or honestly, if you just live on a narrow street, navigating this might not just be wildly expensive, it might be physically impossible. In those scenarios, you literally can't get the prefab unit onto your land, which forces you right back to a traditional build anyway, so verifying this crane clearance before you sign any contracts is absolutely critical.
All right, let's pivot to the custom advantage, building on site. Building from the ground up, directly in your backyard, actually offers some really unique strategic perks. First up is topography adaptation. If you have a sloped backyard, custom builders can easily design split-level floor plans. This is a huge deal because it helps you entirely avoid the massive costs of bulk dirt excavation or pouring huge retaining walls, things a flat-packed prefab would absolutely demand. Second is seamless integration. An on-site build lets you perfectly match the brickwork, the roof tiles, and the window profiles of your main house. It ends up looking like a natural extension, not just a temporary box dropped on the lawn. And third, and perhaps the most important from a wealth building perspective, is maximum equity. The source text strongly emphasizes that valuers and banks treat on-site custom builds as permanent capital improvements to the real estate. Unlike some prefab kits, which banks might actually classify as depreciating chattels or temporary assets, a custom structure directly, permanently boosts your overall property valuation.
Next up, meeting NCC 2022 standards, the 7-star NATHERS mandate. This is where the physical materials start dictating the rulebook. The National Construction Code recently updated its requirements, and they now mandate that all new Australian dwellings have to achieve a strict 7-star energy rating. This throws a bit of a curveball at prefab units. Because modular units have to be transported on trucks, they literally have to be made of lightweight materials. Our source points out that these lightweight panels often really struggle to achieve the high thermal mass or acoustic soundproofing needed to hit that 7-star benchmark smoothly. On the flip side, custom builds naturally have a massive advantage here. Constructed on-site, they utilize heavy traditional materials. We're talking poured concrete slabs and brick veneer. These materials inherently provide superior thermal performance, meaning it stays warmer in winter and cooler in summer. And they offer drastically better noise reduction, which is a total lifesaver if you plan to use the flat as a rental property.
Okay, which is right for you? Making the decision.
Based on all this analysis, a modular kit is clearly the superior, more efficient choice in a few very specific scenarios. You should absolutely lean toward prefab if you live in a remote or rural area where finding local, reliable tradespeople is a nightmare. It's also the undisputed winner if speed is your #1 priority and the project has to be fully finished in under 4 months. And of course, logistically, it makes perfect sense if your block is perfectly flat and features wide, easy street access for a massive crane. If you check those 3 boxes, prefab is a total game changer.
Conversely, an on-site custom build becomes the strictly necessary or at least highly preferred route under different circumstances. Choose custom if your primary goal is maximizing the long-term resale value and bank equity of your property. Honestly, it's essentially mandatory if your backyard is sloped, narrow, or choked by difficult access points where a crane simply cannot operate. Also, if you need a specific, bespoke design, like making sure you have full compliance with livable housing design standards for accessibility, the unlimited flexibility of a custom build is, without a doubt, the way to go.
To summarize the core argument presented in the source material, the author wraps it up with this exact statement. While prefab offers speed, a custom build provides the longevity, aesthetics, and return on investment required for the suburban market. So, the source clearly positions traditional on-site building as the superior long-term investment for typical suburban homeowners looking to permanently upgrade their land.
So, what does this all mean for you? The ultimate takeaway is that there is absolutely no one-size-fits-all answer here. Seriously, take a walk out back, look at your trees, look at the slope of the earth, and really think about the street access. That physical evaluation is going to tell you far more than a flashy base price sticker ever could. Before you sign any contract, you have to ask yourself one question. Are you building for speed today, or are you building for the permanent value of tomorrow? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and we will catch you on the next one.